GM, welcome to what's going to be another fantastic episode of DevNTell. So, if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast held every week, allowing founders, hackers, and anyone in between to come on the show and showcase their product. And today, I am ecstatic to welcome Kartika Chendorain, who's the founder of HomeHive AI. So, if you didn't know, HomeHive is building a new category of household intelligence centered around being privacy, family, and planet first. So, if you stick around for today's episode, you'll see Kartika give us a overview of HomeHive AI, why she's building it, and a discussion around the future of household AI itself. All right, let's get into it. GM, welcome to the show, Kartika. I'm ecstatic to have you on today.
Thanks for having me. Great to see
My,
you now.
yeah, great to see you too. Great to see you too.
Yep.
Uh, so folks
Been a
didn't know,
while.
it has. So if folks
Yeah.
didn't know, Kartika and I actually used to work together at Lilypad.
Mhm.
So there's a little bit of history there, and it's great to finally see you again. And
Yeah.
I'm actually quite ecstatic to learn that you've taken on a new initiative on your own to battle a very important problem that a lot of households seem to be facing, but maybe not realize. But before we get into that, just if you wouldn't mind, just give a brief introduction about yourself for the crowd if folks aren't familiar.
Sure. So hi everyone, my name is Kartika. I'm the founder of HomeHive AI. And basically, like as Nab said, we're creating privacy first edge AI agents. I'm also a mom of two, German Indonesian. And as Nam said, like I'm a technical product manager. We worked at Lilypad together, where we were looking into, like solving the problem of how to help like researchers, like get GPU, like fast distributed GPU. And then beforehand, I was working, various different startups, but also at larger corporations like IBM, where I was looking into the problem for utility asset managers and how to predict, which assets are gonna go fail first. And we did that via model agents as well. And then beforehand, I was at Algovera, where I really started sort of my career and researching into decentralized AI and data sovereignty, which I absolutely loved. And this is sort of like along the theme.
Amazing, and sounds like you have quite the experience in tech across wide variety of fields here. Just curious, like how did you first get um, into tech? Like what was the driving factor of you coming into this part of the world?
So it's pretty much my dad. So he's like a fascinating character. Like he came from a really poor background, like in Indonesia, and they didn't have enough money to like buy roller skates and things like that. So pretty poor, but he studied himself out of that and became a professor in oncology in Germany, which is quite the jump. And he loves technology. So, like he would always buy the first generation of technology. Now he's 80 years old, but I grew up with, the latest Commodore, 64. I used to play Frogger and all these games, um, to like, the latest Macintosh, the pizza box, all of that. And then back then, like I think I don't know, I was pretty young, but I remember, we had all this like setup at home. And then I was playing a game. It was Indiana Jones, which is text-based. It's like a book with different endings, and you could choose, which route you would go. And that completely blew my mind. Like that technology could sort of adapt to your needs. And since then, I really decided early on that I wanted to be in technology. So I pursued that, and to this day, like my dad, as I said, he's 8. He just turned 80 last month, and I got him, these glasses. He loves AI, and I always, like even to this day, like collaborate with him on different sort of projects. Yeah.
Amazing. That's such an awesome story, like how your dad inspired you to get into the field of tech. And I mean, he sounds like a full-fledged nerd, just like all of us, wanting to play with all the
Exactly.
gadgets. Yeah, yeah. I love
Like
it.
always,
Yeah,
first generation, So
yeah,
now he's got like 2 different AI glasses, and he's like, "This one is not good enough. Kartika, can you make it better?" And that's why I bought these ones. I'm not a super big
yeah,
fan of Meta Ray because of
yeah.
different reasons. But I just ordered like an open source version for him, so I'm waiting for
Oh
that.
wow. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Right on.
he's
Right on.
yeah,
You,
yeah.
you think he's gonna tinker with it, like modify it at all?
Not so much. No, unfortunately not. Like, not on that level, but
Ah,
we work on it together. It's like our
cool.
our hobby together. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. And yeah, I guess your love of technology and all this breadth of experience, I imagine, kind of led up to you eventually starting up HomeHive. And yeah, I'm just curious, and for the crowd as well, like, what is HomeHive, and what's the story? What's the story there?
So yeah, like first I want to answer what is HomeHive. So we're basically creating personal assistants, so agents that are private. So what does it mean? So these personal assistants, they are specialized. So in contrast to these large language models that can do everything in a generic way, we're doing the opposite. So we're doing very specialized agents, and rather than them living on the cloud somewhere, they're actually on your machine. So that means that none of your data, leaves your device. So, nowadays, um, AI is getting smaller and smaller, and much more, like the computers, laptops get more efficient. So that's actually possible as long as you stay within like a very sort of like niche specialized area. And then also there's less hallucinations, like so they don't make that many mistakes because they're not getting overwhelmed. And yeah, this is pretty much sort of like what Home Life personal assistant teams are in a nutshell. And like one of the things we always look at is like what's the key differentiator. So I call it TOR, so it's trust. So there's no surveillance. We're not doing any data harvesting. And then ownership, so the data is yours, and also the AI is pretty much personalized to you, and it stays on your laptop. So we can't just upgrade it, like we can't just change the API, like and mess things up. And then also the A stays for alignment. So alignment is that we are it's all designed within the family first, right? So there's guardrails. It's trying to reduce the mental load rather than increase it, and it's not creating addiction. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that seems like I mean, it seems like quite an obvious thing, like somebody would want these fleet of agents to be available for them for
Yeah,
like
like
to do
I
various
think,
things, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like I think people are like, oh, the personal assistants, where is it coming from? And it really started sort of from my own personal story and also my mom. So like what does invisible work mean, or what does the mental load mean cognitively, like, of the household? So like it's invisible, so sometimes you can't really tell, but it's all that magic that happens in the household. So like the meal planning, creating food. So if you think back when you were a kid, like who created, like these amazing, like public holidays like Christmas, all of that, who organized this? And it's usually a default parent. Then they also work and they do all the scheduling for the family, and all of that, and it's a joy, but it gets a lot, right? And that's what's described as the mental load, and 70% of women really carry that. Like typically, obviously, there are lots of dads who carry that as well. And then if you add special needs like a nut allergy, or like some other sort of developmental issues, dyslexia or something, into the mix in the family, then that gets like much quicker, much more taxing. And what suffers is, what we realize is that families do not really look into their finances and also into their their health, like so physical health, preventative health, but also mental health. And that's what we're hoping to really like alleviate through that.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a amazing mission that you're kind of building towards here. And you alluded to it earlier when you were describing Home Hive, sorry. Um, but the topic of privacy, and I think that's a big topic in itself
Yeah.
in the space of AI, where yes, you can sign up for these awesome services, right? Like OpenAI's, the Anthropics of the world, and they're amazing products, but your data isn't necessarily staying private, right? It's going to person's servers, and you don't really know what's going on there. So, yeah, if you wanted to, if you want
Yeah. And
to kind of get
if you,
into that, yeah,
so if you think about it, you're basically the product, right? So it's a bit wild that you're paying somebody and you're the product and you're not getting anything in return. I think, those current, like chat, assistants are amazing. And, that's all like LLMs, they're really demonstrated and paved sort of the first wave, but where it's actually heading, it's completely different. So people want privacy, right? They don't trust it anymore. They're also aware of that there are hallucinations and issues. So what does privacy mean? Like what we're doing is that, as I said earlier, so the AI models are now small enough that they can come to you. So that you physically download them to your laptop and your phone. And then you don't need internet, right? So you can do all the other queries. It's already pre-trained, so it has like a basic knowledge, but it then can also leverage all your own data, and you can just chat it, ask questions, similar to what you've been doing before. But the difference here is, like the data doesn't go anywhere, but also we're not hitting large data centers. So, in terms of inference, no large data centers are being hit, and that really is much better for the planet. And also, like in terms of costs, like, we can really offer this on to a reduced cost.
yeah. I was just gonna say, reduce costs as well, and you also have the potential of having even faster inference, depending
Yep.
on the type of model, because you're basically on your home network, right?
Yep.
And if models are smaller, they can most certainly run on consumer level hardware anyway.
Yeah. Like
But
I've got a
yeah,
MacBook Air and, it runs well. Like we did a lot of research there in terms of what users want and how they want to interact with it. And, like sort of MacBook Air 16 GB, like that's, sort of this, for, one particular category, the standard. And then we're also exploring like other ones, but totally possible. Like if you think, like 60, 70 years ago, when my dad was born, like, or, 80 years ago, computers were like as big as a desk or, like half a room. And now we have, like that, here. And with AI, it will be the same, and it will happen much, much faster than you think. So everyone will have their own personalized AI.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then the other point I wanted to add was in terms of data, right? Currently, all of these larger models are being trained on public data, which is not the best quality, right? Like it's been great, and there's been a lot of data there, but it's not the best quality. And the quality, the data you have at home is much better, right? And it's curated by families. You want it to be. So if you imagine fine tuning on that, and leveraging, that data with specialized agent, yeah, it's much more superior.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
And you kind of subtly hinted at it, but like the fact that you can run some of these latest and greatest models on like a MacBook Air with just 16 gigs of RAM. I think and I think eventually, like you alluded to earlier as well, like the model sizes will likely get smaller and smaller and either retain or maybe even surpass their current knowledge levels. So eventually these will end up on phones and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is like one of the key or killer um breakthroughs if it can happen, because um most people have phones.
Yep.
But it's not necessarily the case. Most people have laptops. But anyhow, that's
Yeah.
another rabbit hole. Rabbit hole in
Yeah.
itself.
Totally,
Um,
like if you think, I love how you think, and that's what, that's where we're definitely heading as well.
yeah.
And we're starting to test that out here at HomeHive as well. So, in terms of stage, we've got, we're in several prototype stage now, and sort of have been testing two things. One is actually the user interaction, the user experience. So we do like these white glove cohorts where we talk to particular families that either have special needs or like, so yeah, somebody in the family, like for example, there's one case where somebody has cancer, so it's like this typical sandwich generation. So the grandparent has got cancer and the parents are looking after small children at the same time and full-time work. So there's a big steep learning curve. And secondly, like you need to have that knowledge. So they're always constantly about. They need to have that interaction on their phone rather than going on laptops and things like that. And that's possible as well. So yeah, definitely, like something we imagine, and what has come out of our user research, and some, sort of other cool highlights, we are super excited about, which I'll probably announce in the next podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Well, while we still have you here, I guess for around Home Hive itself, I think you kind of alluded to it, but it seems like one of the main things it can help you with is saving time. Time is something that is very precious to everyone, right? So I guess what are the different types of things Home Hive can help people with,
Yeah.
or help families with? Yeah.
And so yes, it's time saving, but it's also having that sort of peace of mind that you can pass on some of the research to like a very specialized agent. So it might be to create a meal plan with like nut allergy, or like we talked about it, like you're Armenian and you will have to have eat certain foods, so you can create like a Armenian, like low fat keto like meal plan. But then it does all the shopping as well, the shopping list, and then also buys the groceries for you. So that takes like a lot of thinking away, and it's just being pretty much automated. The whole family can see what it is. You can also have like pets in there, which was requests from our users. And then it actually goes into like like scheduling, all the school stuff, and then into like financial planning. So then the financial planning is taken care by a financial agent. So your portfolio, your pension, your goals for the whole family, and then actually also health, preventative health. So like getting into all the details of what the kids have, or what the adults have, but also if there was a particular like case with like cancer, then you can store or make import all of that data into HomeHive and query it, and educate yourself around it, which has been like super powerful. And yeah, like our users are really feeling relieved, and I think it's all about solving this problem, which is a huge problem, and hasn't really been looked at yet. So yeah, be very, very excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds pretty sweet to me. It's like personalized agents to do your bidding, basically. Um, and
Win-win, right?
yeah, win-win. Exactly, exactly. And I guess with the current like AI model landscape where we are today, it still seems that um the vibe is still for these bigger, chunkier models that are a bit more powerful, a bit more capable. But there are some smaller models nowadays that are
Mhm.
pretty capable. Like, how do you see the landscape kind of evolving, changing around an application like this, like HomeHive?
Yeah, completely. So I think the last sort of couple of years we've seen, yeah, like the bigger the better, you've seen like the general sort of models doing fairly well. But now, I think since the last year or so, definitely the trend has gone more specialized, smaller models that are much easier to control, but also are not getting overwhelmed, right? And that's now possible, because of the, what we had talked about earlier. But that trend is definitely, like happening right now. And there are different papers, like I can share as well, where you see, that these agents can then, or these models then can also interact with each other. Um, and sort of communicate not only on the one platform, but also on different platforms and things like that. So that trend is definitely happening. And then through like federated learning, it then adds another like layer on top of that, where you can tap into all the siloed private data without breaching like any issues in terms of GDPR or like other sort of regulatory issues. Yeah. So that trend is definitely there, and yeah, I can share some papers around that later on.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. We do love our papers here. And I guess around like HomeHive itself, can you speak to kind of like why somebody would choose HomeHive AI over a competitor, if there are any competitors out there at the moment?
Yeah, there are competitors out there for sure, but I think so that the general, like sort of general chat agents, and there are some that are like sort of looking into household management. But the contrast we have is that those use APIs or are like provided by the big tech companies. So what our difference is that we're designing with a complete diverse set of people. So it's it's families, it's mothers. There's only 29% of women in STEM, but they actually like a really large user base. So we're offering like these STEM courses as well. So that's one, like a diverse set of people. We're designing with a diverse set of people, which hasn't been, nobody's really doing right now. And then obviously it's the privacy, angle. So your data is yours. We're not harvesting that. You can then opt in into the federated learning, but even then it's privacy preserving. So none of your data goes anywhere. We bring, the model is already on your machine. We then update that model, and then it goes to that AI model goes to a centralized server. And then everyone, like the whole community benefits from it, right? So that's like really key. And then finally, the last one is cost efficiency, right? So we're using already existing, like GPU, and so our costs are much lower, which we can really reflect to the actual users as well, which is better for the planet, better for our customers. And then the final one is that we actually also pay royalties for those data insights, right? Um, so this is, an angle I always felt really strong about, like it's all this invisible work. As we said earlier, it all comes back to families and mom. And, these people are shaping, the household. They're creating family life. They're making decisions on a daily basis, what comes into the house, or what is being decided. And I think they should be rewarded for that. So, and they're influencing and actually, like furthering, like how these AI models are working. So with that, be giving, like royalties back to our users as well. And that creates this invisible, like sort of pays the invisible work and creates a passive income for them.
That's awesome. So you're
Mhm.
telling me that we can get back a lot of our time, have some agents do all these mundane tasks for us, and also get paid potentially. That's
Yes.
that's a pretty sweet deal to me. I don't know.
Can't
uh,
complain there, right?
can't complain. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Win win
So
win.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like our customers, the this sort of white glove service, like we don't have it all automated yet,
Yeah.
but we're really learning with them. And just in terms of traction, been going really fast, to be honest. And so we did a lot of user research in the US, but also in the UK. And what we've heard there is like, sort of confirmed what we were what we were thinking. Some things, we are changing. But yeah, like it's really, really exciting of what we heard there. And most people were saying like, oh my God, I'm neglecting, my portfolio and things like that. If I could have a passive income, that would be, like absolutely amazing. And then in terms of the traction, yeah, so we just finished the Cambridge Judge Accelerator program. So last month I was in the UK in Cambridge, which was absolutely amazing. And we got some, we're working through like a program there, and got some really good, feedback on how we can, like sort of position ourselves and who we're going to contact. So now we are in contact with some angels as well, which is fantastic. And we are currently self-funded, which is, like great. And it's quite a luxury for us to do so. But I'm also looking into, like a pre-seed round as well.
Awesome, awesome. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you got a lot of good things
Yeah.
cooking up there, which is amazing to hear. And
There's
yeah,
there's actually one more thing. So we
yeah,
just got accepted to do you know NoCap, the AI, the non-human AI advisor, like VC?
I've heard of them. I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, or she, like I refuse to
Yeah.
call it
Yeah.
she, but like it. So we're part of a sort of like cohort now,
Oh
advisor
wow!
program with it as well, and it's been actually quite
Congratulations.
good, Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which is like wild, and you can email this angel or we see all the time 24/7, which is unheard of.
Nice.
And already suggested us, like some other investors, we can maybe also talk to, and yeah, like great advice, which is completely wild, So we live in different times now for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's some awesome times indeed. I mean, at least in the tech sector. And I guess in terms of the roadmap for HomeHive, it sounds like a lot of things are still in the prototyping phase, but things are working towards an MVP.
Hmm.
Do you want to briefly touch on that if you can?
Yeah, so yeah, we've got different prototypes in various stages. One is where we, like sort of have a lot of it already built out and just using that for user research and user testing. So, we're always looking for people there to do some user research with them. That's ongoing. But that really informs us, like what we're building into the, then the real prototype. And we've got like from a technical side, we've got that prototype already out, and are testing that now, with like this really small cohort. And what we're trying to understand is how the different agents are understanding each other and then can like work in tandem. So it's this orchestration part, and then the other part is federated learning. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really looking forward to see the product get built out. And I guess since we're a very developer heavy crowd here, for the developers that are watching today, how
Mm.
can they get involved if they want to help with the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if if like a parent, if you've got small kids or if you've got aging parents, then you really live that problem, So being able to understand that space, like the sort of private AI household market, will really give, everyone an advantage. So um, I think, in terms of technology, that will change, right? Like things will change, but the problem will always stay the same. So if you really are interested in sort of learning about that, feel free to sign up at HomeHive AI or DM me. So we love to be always on interviewing people and testing out our prototype. So check that out. And then the other thing, what we are currently doing is we're doing some open source work as well. And we are currently looking for, like some people who are experienced in FL, to, like, so we basically, like I can't announce quite yet, but there's a project we're working on, and we've secured one person now, so we've got one more spot left that can collaborate with us. So it's basically time series prediction, and there would be some cross-domain applicability as well. And yeah, so if you're keen on open source work contributions, there will be co-authorship, and definitely, like, more exposure later on.
Oh, awesome. Sounds like a very exciting opportunity. So, yeah,
Yeah.
folks, if you're watching today, you want to get involved, we'll have Kartika's contact information in the description below for you to reach out. And I guess if people want to get started with HomeHive today, like, what would you say is the best way for them to do that?
So sign up to the waitlist. We haven't really released anything yet, but you can then be part of our cohort. And then, like, we will do sort of the white glove service with you until, like, we launch sort of like properly later in the year. So there will also be an SDK and things like that, but it's not quite ready yet. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Next time, right?
Next time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Uh, and yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we've arrived to time here. But any final thoughts you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, sure. So I think if you look, like what's currently happening in the AI space, it's like sort of, at a we're sort of, at a way now that we need to understand what kind of, AI are we developing, right? Like, so it could be complete surveillance, and you are the product, you're making people the product. Or, you could create something a bit different. And I just think it's completely wild that these generative AI has exploded to this point, and we're burning the planet at the same time, right? Like each little, create me this or create me that, like burns the planet, which is completely crazy. So I think we really need to think about alternatives, and it's possible, right? Now we are there from a technology perspective. It is possible, and I think that's what people really need to ask themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, very well said. And yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know if there's a stat out there yet, but if not, anybody watching the audience, like, this would be very interesting. But you know how usually when somebody starts playing around with the new model, usually the first thing they say is kind of like "hello," and then it's like the model returns back a response, and I'm just curious how much electricity kind of goes into that and just that simple hello response.
I
Right? It's like,
know.
yeah, so much. I wonder like how much of that compute could have gone to like contributing to like finding a cure for some rare disease or something of the sort. But yeah,
Yeah.
it would be an interesting stat if anybody has that stat. It would be, yeah, awesome to see. Um,
But I think people are now
yeah,
starting, like they're sort of done with the big, LLM hype,
yeah,
generative AI hype, and they're sort of like moving back to that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's hope.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll get
indeed,
there.
indeed. There's always
We'll get
there's
there.
hope.
We'll get there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Well, Kartika, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come chat with us. HomeHive seems like a very exciting initiative, and yeah, we're looking forward to you continuing to build it out. And yeah, we'll wait till next time to
Yes.
get a demo walkthrough of it as well.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. With that, just want to wish you a happy rest of the day and that we will catch you back here for another great episode of DevNTell next week. Till then, have a good one, folks. Bye.
Bye.